NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool takes place this Saturday in Blackpool, England from the Empress Ballroom. And this is the first official takeover that WWE has done under the UK brand. They have done a takeover in England before. They did one in London. That was back in 2015. And that was a very good show. But this is the first official show of the UK. And to me, the show that this is kind of reminding me of is the original NXT special, which was not called TakeOver, it's called NXT Arrival. It took place in 2014 at the beginning of the year, and this really reminds me, it's 5 years later this time, it's a whole new brand, and no one really is a major star. You have Pete Dunne, who's a star, and you have Toni Storm, who's a star. Everyone else is kind of new. Tyler Bate, he's gotten some exposure. Same thing with Trent Severin on some American takeovers, but this is the first exposure. We're going to see a lot of these guys, and that's exactly how I felt when I was watching the original NXT Arrival show, which was 2014 in February, and that show was a very good show and introduced me to a lot of characters. I wasn't really following NXT as much. And for the UK, I haven't been following it too much, but I am aware of some of the names. I know Rhea Ripley. I saw her press conference with Toni Storm. I thought it was great. I thought Rhea Ripley is just really unlikable, and Toni Storm is extremely likable. I can't imagine anyone not liking Toni Storm, and she's been in the news recently. Her photos got leaked. It was very unfortunate for her. She eventually reacted by deleting all her social media, which I don't think it's a smart move, but I feel for her. You know, she's a very likable person, supposed to be really nice backstage, and her matches are really good. I mean, she has all the tools to be a top star in the women's division in WWE. She's blonde, she's beautiful, she's really good in the ring, she's likable, she has natural charisma. I think she's a star. I think she can be a top babyface in the company. A really likable character in Toni Storm. As for the other hand, Rhea Ripley is a extremely detestable heel. So that's the match I think has gotten the most buzz with those two. Anyway, getting into the show, I'm going to be honest, there's a couple matches I haven't heard much about these guys. I've heard their names before, but I really don't follow. I watched a few NXT UK shows. I watched the previous show to get me hyped up into the show, let me learn more about these characters and more about these matches. From what I have read, the build-up hasn't been that strong, but this is definitely an important show for the UK brand of NXT. So we have Travis Banks and Jordan Devlin. This was a match I think was added recently. They didn't announce it until the last show. I'm going at Jordan Devlin. Things I've read, looks like they're going to push Devlin as more of a star to Banks. I'll go with him here. Don't know much. Then you have a no disqualification match. You have Dave Mastiff against Eddie Dennis. I'm going with Eddie Dennis here. I think I've seen some stuff with Eddie Dennis. I know he's 32. He's had a run in the independent scenes. I've seen some of his work there. He's really talented. And I think with him, I think they're really going to use him as he's 32, so he's not as an English but I think he's more of the veteran there. He's had some hardcore matches on the independents. I've seen some of those matches. They had TLC matches on the independents, but I think he beats Dave Mastiff, that's how you pronounce his name. I think we'll go Eddie Dennis here. Next we go to the three biggest matches. You have the inaugural NXT UK Tag Team Championships. You have Moustache Mountain, which is Trent Seven and Tyler Bate against the Grizzled young veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake. I have to say, I think Triple H would do anything to sign Zack Sabre Jr. to NXT UK. That's who they need. I think if he was there, it'd bring in so much attention because he's a star and he's from the UK. But I think that's who they'd die to have. But in this match, I'm leaning towards the Moustache Mountain winning because I think they're going to still push him hard. Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, they're well known now because they've had exposure on the NXT American shows. They've had some matches with the Undisputed Era, which were great. They've actually won the NXT Tag Team Champions from the Undisputed Era. It only lasted for a couple weeks, but they're really getting behind these guys. They could surprise us and go with the girls with the young veterans because they hear they're into them too. Like they think they have a future, but I'm going to say Moustache Mountain. I think there'll be more over here. Tyler Bate, I still remember his match with Pete Dunne from the Chicago TakeOver a couple of years ago. Such a classic match, but I'm going to go with the the Moustache Mountain. I'm sure they'll have time. This probably could steal the show. Wouldn't surprise me. It'll be a great match. And I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm going to say Moustache Mountain becomes the first champs. Next, the match I'm really looking forward to seeing, Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm. So they've had a first match for the inaugural UK Women's Champ, in which Rhea Ripley beat Toni Storm, and Rhea Ripley is a really detestable heel, and I think Toni Storm she has such a great future. I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on this. I hope they do, because I like her. I think she'd get a huge pop, but Rhea Ripley is such a great heel right now. It'd be tough to take the belt on her, but I'm going to say they do it. I think they have a lot of big plans for Toni Storm. I think she can be the top female star. She's really young. She's only 23. And Rhea Ripley is also only 22. I didn't know they're the same age. Rhea Ripley looks like she's a lot older, and Toni Storm looks so young and cute. You'd barely think she's over 18 years old. It's really tough to see who wins. I think they're going to pull the trigger and put the belt on Toni Storm. I think they're going to try and get the show a lot of hype, and I think they think Toni Storm can be the face of the brand, which she can be. I think they're going to give her the big win here. I think it's going to get a big reaction. Mostly I think this is done to draw more American fans in, because I think they think Toni Storm can appeal to a lot of people. And I don't want to say this stuff happened on her with her nude photos being leaked all over social media is the reason why they're giving her a belt, because she really deserves it. I think that could play a factor. I think they're going to go for a feel-good moment, not just the leagues. I think people generally like Toni Storm, and I do too. I think they're going to give her a big win here. I think this could be the match tonight. It wouldn't shock me, actually, if this main event. I could easily see this being the main event of the show, because these two can really go at it. And I think they see big money in Toni Storm and think she has a bright future in this company. So I'm going to say she wins a belt from Rhea Ripley. Probably be a fantastic match, and it's going to be tough for the main roster woman to top this. I'm sure they're going to have a great match here. Next, we have the UK Championship. Okay, let me say this. I'm not so sure if this is going to be the main event. It could be Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley, but I'm going to say, because it's a championship, I'm going to predict it last. It probably will be main event. A lot of people think we can see a title change. I'm going to stick with Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne's been champion for close to 2 years now. Actually, more like a year and a half, but he's had a great run. He beat Tyler Bate to win the title. As to if he beats Joe Coffey, it's tough. It's really tough. They could put the title change. It's their first inaugural takeover. It wouldn't shock me at all if they would decide we want to do a title change here. Like the last two matches, it's really tough to predict how they're going to go with these two. Both the main events are 50-50 in my opinion. And even the tag match, that can go either way too. These are really tough to predict, and that makes it really exciting. I'm going to go with Pete Dunne to retain. I might be wrong here, but I can easily see a situation where Pete Dunne loses and then he's moved to the NXT US brand, or they want to have Joe Coffey chase Pete Dunne. I think they could go with Coffey. I don't have a problem with him winning, but I'm going to say Pete Dunne retains. Maybe I'm just too familiar with Pete Dunne. I'm picking him over Joe Coffey simply out of familiarity. But I'm going to say he retains now. I think this probably goes on last, so I'm picking Pete Dunne to retain the title. So I'm looking forward to this UK TakeOver show. Don't know too much about the brand. I doubt this will be as on the quality of a traditional TakeOver, but they're all going to get a lot of time. They're all going to go balls out. They're all going to tear it up. This is huge. This is very similar to NXT's debut show. Was it called TakeOver? But it was the Arrival show. This is very similar to that, in my opinion. So I think they're going to go all out to make this special. And I don't know exactly who's in charge of the UK brand, but I really think this is a huge show for them. And I think they're going to do as much to get as much attention to this product and much eyeballs to the UK show as possible. And I think everyone's going to give it their best performance because it's a huge show. So I'm looking forward to the show. Probably be a really good show. Will it be on the level as a US TakeOver? Probably not, but it wouldn't shock me if it is, because everyone's going to give 110% here. So hopefully we get a great show, and I'm really looking forward to watching the show this Saturday.